This is the best of VOCM Open Line with Brian Callahan.
Let's go right to line number 3. And John, you're on the air.
Brian, how are you?
Pretty good. Tuesday, I can see blue sky and the sun is shining. That's my starting point.
It's good to be optimistic.
Yeah, I try, boy, John. I really do.
Look, I'll tell you. August the 17th, 2026 is going to go down in the history of this province as the blackest day there ever was. And province, I'll let you know, that province is a Roman term for a vassal state, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But it's a complete sellout. Complete sellout. Wakeham sold out the public. He's going to go down in the history of the province as being more corrupt than Smallwood and a bigger traitor than Benedict Arnold.
Is that all based on just what happened yesterday, or are you basing it on previous iterations?
Well, like the speed at which this is going, I called in Friday. I informed the public that basically, like, this is your hill to die on. If you want a Newfoundland that's going to exist in the future and be a place where your kids and grandkids can grow up and be secure, this is the hill you die on, this deal. And you demand that referendum. Now, he's turned it down. He says, oh, well, you know, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of disappointed people. Well, I got news for him. Look, the way you deal with this is you get it on the record. Okay, so what you do is you sign a petition saying that you're demanding that referendum. You present that to the Lieutenant Governor so that it's on the record. Okay? Mm-hmm. So it only may be, you know, for all intents and purposes, just color of law, because, I mean, basically, see, you have two crowns, okay? You have the crown that's the monarchy, and you have the crown that's the City of London, okay? And a lot of times, like, lawyers in Canada get confused with this because they don't actually know which one they're representing. But the way it works is that, you know, your Privy Council are basically given instructions from the City of London. And that's the way it's always been since 1815. And the City of London has gone through a number of changes. They were originally conceived as a Templar city. Then it was usurped by the Jesuits. In 1815, it was usurped by the Knights of Malta under the Rothschilds. Okay, so we're dealing with the third configuration. We're dealing with the Knight of Malta, City of London. Okay, so you got LeBlanc that represents the Privy Council heading down to Washington, and again, Newfoundland becomes like a bargaining chip. Because just as all our fish was sold off in quotas to Europe, you know, what's going to happen now is that they figure, okay, if we got this deal here now, we'll be able to send some electricity down to America, and maybe that'll, you know, enable some softer bargaining to go on with regards to this tariff war. Mm-hmm. So, you know, that's sort of the behind the scenes of that. You know, every man, woman, and child in Newfoundland is on the hook for $33,000 in debt. Okay, so that's our share of the provincial debt for every man, woman, and child. If you're born, the minute you're born, you're on the hook for $33,000 in debt to our provincial debt. You know, I mean, like, Newfoundland could have asked for whatever it wanted. It could have asked for more seats in Parliament. It could have asked for guaranteed flat rate service on Gulf ferry services and air transportation services. It could have asked for basically anything. And we're getting scraps. You know, and Quebec are up there laughing at us. The federal government, they're laughing at, like, the smirk on Carney's face. It was just disgusting. Just disgusting. And at one point, I mean, like, this speech that Carney was given, you could see Wakeham back there mouthing the exact same words.
And he was reading the teleprompter's words of the Prime Minister. I found that really weird. Odd.
I mean, like you know what it says? It says puppet. That's what it basically says. Now, I mean, you know, it's up to Newfoundlanders what they want. If they want this, I wouldn't recommend they take this deal at all. I mean, like big numbers are bandied about, like $249 billion over 50 years or whatever, right? Well, I mean, it's like this, okay? $100 back in 1960 got you a heck of a lot more than $100 will buy you today. Okay, so by the time 50 years comes and the end payments of that $249 billion arrive in the coffers of Newfoundland and Labrador, what's it going to be worth? Nothing. But meanwhile, your asset, your hydropower, that's growing in value. Okay, so basically, you're trading off an appreciating asset against a depreciating dollar that's being eroded away by inflation. So there's no deal there. I mean, when people start bandying about these numbers, you don't go into a deal with money. You go into it with percentages. That guarantees then that your stake is not going to be eroded by fiat currency inflation. Okay? So, it's up to the people of the province what they want to do. If it was me, the thing to do is get this on the record that you are opposed to this. The population of the province is opposed to it. Get it in a petition, present it to the lieutenant governor so that there's a record of it. And if by some chance things change over the next 50 years in the City of London and with the monarchy in England, which they very well could, you got a leg to stand on if you've got a grievance and things don't work out in this deal. But if you don't get it on the record, you have no leg to stand on. Okay? There should have been a referendum. The government was elected on the referendum. And the other thing people can do is you call your MHA and you tell them in no uncertain terms you're voting them out. It doesn't matter whether they're Liberal, NDP, or Conservative. You're voting them out next election if they don't support that petition.
Yep. Sorry.
That's your two options there. Okay, for dealing with this going forward. I don't like it. I mean, everything that I saw on TV was it looked like Wakeham had his arm twisted by his puppet master. And, the deal is bad for the province. The way it's structured is bad. And, the people have the right to have the final say on it.
Yeah, is it? I mean, it's been one day afterward, and the details of it, look, there's nothing changes here. We knew the value. I mean, it's been put in front of us now in nominal terms, I guess, in estimates, as you said, and percentages. But there are specific numbers there, and they're shiny objects that, people would like us to take away from yesterday's announcement. All the good, and not question it. Well, I mean, we should question it. We're talking about the Churchill Falls deal from '69. And when you change your complete modus operandi, which the government had, I mean, did you not have, a solid belief in what you were going down, what road you were going down here? I mean, either you believed in it or you didn't. And what happened since the middle of May until yesterday, I'm still a bit bewildered how that could be turned around in 3 months. That was when it happened, that they had the assessment of the MOU. It's not in the best interest, so now we're going to renegotiate. And less than 3 months later, we got a landmark deal. That's the greatest thing since in North America at $70 billion. It's a lot to take in. I'm not dismissing it outhand. As I said, it could be the best thing since sliced bread. We don't know. But what we do know, the certainties that we did have, was that we were taking our time and we would have a referendum. And now neither of that is happening.
And Brian, it stinks because look at what's going on. Okay, the opposition is being basically told, okay, soft pedal your attack. Don't attack the Premier. Don't attack the Conservatives. Attack Quebec. Okay? And then, the other thing that they said was, we got to get this done because a PQ government may get in and they may change it. Look, even if they get in, they're not going to change it. They can't afford to change it. They need this deal desperately because if the province of Quebec doesn't get this power, they're done. They're finished.
It is they're in an urgent spot. There's no question.
Yes. And I mean, as much as they'll whine and they'll complain, we want to leave Canada and we want to be our own property. Look, America would never take them as a state. They're stuck where they are. And they play the game well because they whine, they moan, they groan, and they know that if they do it, they'll get satisfaction. But the PQ government is not stupid. They know that they need this power in Quebec as much as anybody.
Yeah, and they've made no bones about it. We know it. We know the leverage we have here right now because we're not the ones that are urgently. I mean, God knows our debt and deficit can show that. But we're not as urgent a situation as they are. And look, Ottawa's in a spot here where they would like to get it done too. So the two powers that we're supposed to have some control over, which we've never had control over, it feels like we're being pushed into something. That's just my reading of it. I invite the Premier or anyone else to correct me and give me more detail than we got yesterday. John, I got to get off to the break. I got one quick question for you. An emailer says, does the current caller have any clue as to whether or not the agreement is any good?
No, it's no good.
Okay.
It's no good because it doesn't give a look. Politics is all about leverage.
Yep.
Okay? It's leverage of power. Yep. And the power Newfoundland has right now in this country called Canada, okay, you will never have this degree of power again, okay? Whatever Newfoundland wants going forward, it can be had now. Okay, so this deal is no good. And look, get Danny Williams on record on, okay? Don't go letting Wakeham take all the heat and go down in history as a total twit. Get Danny Williams on and get his opinion on this and get it on the record.
Well, we do. He is on the record. He commented on the last iteration of the agreement, the Independent Review Committee, and we have reached out to him, and I had a back and forth with him last night and the night before, see if he's interested in commenting. He's not commenting now. He has a statement out there. Let me just see if I can quickly get it for you. Sorry, Dave. What did I do with that? I know I got it right here. Here we are. I have not been involved in any capacity whatsoever in the current negotiations on the Upper Churchill Agreement, and I have no knowledge of what a new agreement might entail. This was Sunday night. As I have said previously, my position on any agreement is clearly on the record through the submissions to the independent panel that was convened on the former MOU. So that's the statement. I haven't had a chance to go back and look. There's just too many things happened in the last couple of days. But he's not doing interviews on that level right now, but that's his statement before. And I know he's claimed to have been the architect of killing the former MOU and suggestions that he's been involved with this. He certainly denies that he's had any direct involvement with these negotiations. John, I'm well past the break. I appreciate the call, getting lots of responses, so thank you, and don't be a stranger.
All right, thanks, Brian. Have a good one, buddy.
You too. Thanks for the call.
Bye-bye.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Line number one. Charlene, you're on the air.
Hi, Brian. How are you this morning?
I'm okay. The sun is shining. Make the best of it, right?
Oh, for sure, 100%.
Yeah.
I'm calling this morning. I don't call, I've only called one time before, so I guess I'm kind of a first-time caller.
Love it.
And it's off the topic of all the news right now, for sure.
And that's quite okay.
I'm calling to report about, or just let the public be made aware of the trauma that our family's been going through for the past couple of weeks. It involves my daughter and 3 grandchildren live with us, my husband and I. And she came home a couple of weeks ago she was staying at a cabin for the weekend, and we were at our cabin for the weekend. And she came home with the 3 children, and as she normally would, she went in and she took her laundry and brought it downstairs. And as she was doing her laundry, her 8-year-old son's bedroom door opened up, and there was a strange man in the room. So she panicked. She was in shock, and she couldn't believe that somebody was near.
Yeah.
And so she just backed up and said, "Listen, I have 3 children here, and I don't want any trouble. Please, no trouble. I have my 3 children, small children, upstairs. The 3 kids are under the age of 8." So she managed to back upstairs. She called 911. The police showed up. Okay, so
and the guy is still in the house?
The guy he stayed in the house, and the police took him out of the house, removed him out of the house, and they put him in the back of the car. Now, keep this in mind. This is the picture. We're in Center City.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, where is home? Yeah, so it's center of the city. Okay, you don't have to be more specific than that, but yeah.
No, Churchill Square area. Like, we're right in the center of things here. So
That's where I live.
It didn't take long for the police to get to the door, and there was approximately 10 police officers that showed up. So here we are through all this, and still in shock. My daughter calls me. She's got me on speakerphone. She's so upset. And the 8-year-old grandson is, like, totally taking all this in like a sponge. So anyways, we managed to get a hold of the other grandmother to come pick up the 3 kids to get them out of the scene all together.
Yeah.
So they took this guy, put him in the back of the car. The police officers went to our house, tried to figure out how this guy got into our house. He was clearly under the influence of, we're not sure what he was on. We have no idea what he took. But he was quite comfortable in the room where our grandson usually goes down and goes to his room and plays or whatever. It just so happened that this morning when they came home, he didn't do that. His mom went down ahead of him and done laundry. So through the jigs and reels, this is the situation we're in right now. I'm calling mostly because of public safety. The police had washed their hands of this. They took this guy and they drove him home and they dropped him off. The police officers that were on the scene did not take a statement from my daughter. They did not take a picture. And as a matter of fact, the next door neighbor came up from right next door to us, and he tried to get in to talk to my daughter to he had some information about this guy. And so the police kind of shooed him off, but my daughter said, hey, come on, you have something to say, come over. I'm not going to mention names, I'm not allowed.
No, understood. Thank you.
So anyways, he came over and he said, hey, this must be the same guy that was knocking at my door at 4 or 5 o'clock this morning, and he shed his clothes on my step, and he was in bare feet. His feet are bleeding, whatnot. So they didn't question the neighbor. They didn't do anything as part of any kind of investigating to figure out, where the guy came from, why he was in my home. But do you know what I need to tell the public? I need the public to know is that this man was never charged. And, the police said he didn't have any criminal intent. And because they didn't find locks broken or windows broken, there was no criminal intent, and he did not commit a crime, okay? So upon checking, my daughter's in shock. She's reeling. They took off with this guy. Lo and behold, 30, 40 minutes later, this guy strolls up once again to my house, and is looking for his clothes and his glasses. My daughter once again panics. By this time, she's completely alone. There's no children there. And she called 911, and guess what? 911 never sent a car back. They didn't respond. They didn't have anyone call her, and they did nothing about it. Later on that evening when I got home, my daughter had scoured the place. There had been blood on the couch. The couches are white in my house. There's blood all over my couch and mud. There was urine in two of my grandson's rooms, vomit behind one of and in one of the toy boxes. There was it's absolutely disgusting to think about what was going on in my house when I wasn't there. There's bedrooms there, and every one of the boys in our house have their own room. So I don't know where this guy was. I don't know what he was doing. I don't know what other bodily fluids that he dropped off in my house that I don't know of. And my biggest concern is, I called the insurance company, okay? I just wanted the house cleaned. I just want my house cleaned. I don't even want to stay there, to be honest. We feel so violated. And the first thing they say was, why didn't your daughter take pictures? I said, well, my daughter had to be so traumatized by this whole incident. She had to be in shock. Can you just imagine how you would feel if you came into your house and all of a sudden one of the doors came open? It would be something that you'd see on TV, wouldn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
And so I called the police department the same week, and I managed to get someone to leave a message for one of the constables that left their name and badge number. And you know something? Do you know when that constable called back? This incident occurred August the 2nd, Sunday, August the 2nd. Just a couple of weeks gone now. This constable finally returned my daughter's phone call yesterday morning at 7 o'clock. I'm not kidding. I'm not exaggerating. This is when she heard back from the police. And they keep saying, well, we can't charge this guy. So what I want the public to be made aware of is this. People can come into your house and they can lay in your bed and they can urinate where they want, they can vomit where they want, and they can put all their DNA, their blood all over your house. And guess what? You can't charge them. And guess what? They will walk away with absolutely no consequences, okay? And I just want the public to be made aware of the fact that, you guys posted on your website there. I read your news, your news things just about every day. Just have a look or whatever. And it said, there was a rate, the break and entry rates had gone down. And now I know why they're gone down, because they're not reported. That's the thing, and no one is charged. So people have the right to go in. Now, keep this in mind, Brian. I did ask a question when we did get a hold of a police officer, because I called the same week this happened. I was on the phone a couple of times calling and never got any response from anyone. And I asked, if me and my husband had walked into that house at that time when that person was there, I know my husband probably would have grabbed the guy and threw him out by the door.
Probably would have dropped him.
But
yeah.
Police, oh, well, that's just, that would be like a common reaction.
Well, just the shock of it, right? Yeah, a stranger all of a sudden opens the door. You don't know how you might react or how he might.
No. And so I ran this by the police officer last week, and I said, so if my husband had to lay one finger on this guy who was not invited in our home, and he's an intruder in my home, if he had to lay one finger on him, he would have been charged. So this guy walked out of my house after doing damage, traumatizing my daughter, who still can't stay in the house by herself, traumatizing an 8-year-old child who doesn't want to sleep in his bed because somebody urinated in it. And it's a stranger that was in his room, and he knows this because he was home when it all happened, right?
Right.
So here we are now in a situation where the police are rubbing their hands. And do you know something? When the police officer called my daughter yesterday, I was there. She had me on speakerphone because it's our house. She's living in our house. She's in the process of trying to buy a house, but we know how that goes. It's so hard to buy a house right now. So anyway, she's on the phone with this officer, and the officer had said that, we tried calling you several times. And my daughter said, well, when did you call? And she said, well, she called my daughter at 1 o'clock in the morning to try to have a conversation with her. She has 3 small children. And Brian, I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but this guy was in my 8-year-old grandson's room, naked, asleep in my grandson's bed, and there's no consequences. To investigate, and this is, sorry, I got to get back. I'm so much in turmoil over this. I'm talking, I don't even know what I'm saying to you, but I do know this much, There was no statement taken from my daughter, from the police. They came in and checked the doors and windows to see if there was what way this guy came in. We don't know. In any case, they didn't take any pictures. And you know what she said? The police officer said to my daughter yesterday, they said, well, didn't you go around and take pictures and stuff? Do people realize how traumatizing it is, And at the moment when stuff like that's happened, she was more concerned about her 3 children, not about any damage that was done to the house or how this guy got in or what had happened or whatever. The children found the damage that was done. The children went to sit on the couch and sat down in someone else's blood. My grandson went to his room to try to lie down and watch his shows on his TV like he normally does, and realized that his bed was wet. And and then the youngest grandson, who's 4 years old, almost wiped out in a pile of vomit on his floor. But that's okay. The police are saying, there's no criminal intent. So listen, Brian, if you live in my neighborhood, it means you're my neighbor. You're not safe in any neighborhood in St. John's. If people are allowed to come into your house and they're allowed to sleep in your bed, it doesn't matter. It does not matter if they do damage or not. They're not supposed to be on your property or in your bed, and certainly not bleeding all over your bed. And the police are rubbing their hands of it. Do you know what I believe happened? And listen, don't get me wrong, I'm not bashing the police. I know of a lot of police officers, and I know a lot of police officers. They're hardworking. They put up with a lot. They have a lot on their plate when they walk in and out of that place, that they work to every day. I'm not bashing them. But this was handled so poorly that you're not safe. The people coming into your house that are doing these things, and okay, you're under the influence of drugs or alcohol or whatever. Listen, they have more rights than we do as homeowners, and they have more rights. They're not getting charged. So listen, the rates are down because nobody's picking up a pen or a piece of paper anymore and taking a statement, and nobody's doing a follow-up call, and nobody. Listen, when you do not hear back from a police officer, when you call 911, what does that tell you about the safety of your community? What? I'm in shock here. I'm still reeling. I don't know. We've used every avenue. My daughter filed a formal complaint the other night, and that's why I feel the police finally contacted her back this week.
I was just going to suggest the Public Complaints Commission is there for this very reason. And a definition of break and entry, this wouldn't qualify. I mean, technically, and I know when we get into these, and I'll defer to, say, some of my friends, who are learned and call before the bar here in the province, such as my contributor Mike Murray, who's a retired Crown Prosecutor. He may be listening in. He may want to weigh in on this. But the bottom line is you can't charge him with break and enter particularly. Now, I mean, it doesn't say you can't charge him with something, and that might be for something like or something, but, you have to have sort of intent to commit an offence, a side offence to actually getting into the house. So you have to have an intent to commit some kind of offence once you break in, and then it becomes a break and entry. So that's a more serious offence. But to not have some offence or something in the criminal code which makes it illegal to enter a dwelling that's not yours. That you are not, a part of or a party to. And not only that, just as you said, I can't imagine the kids will carry this, the sponges, as you said, and all the police and all the mayhem around that, and just knowing like this will be some kind of bizarre memory in their heads for years and years and years to come. Yeah,
and I was going to say earlier, but I am a bit nervous calling in because it's not something I do all the time. Yeah. But, I was going to mention earlier as well, this is what the police have been telling us, so there's no criminal intent and whatever. But, it doesn't take away from the fact that people are traumatized, and you have children traumatized, and you don't feel safe in your own home, and the criminal has that right. That person who got into your house uninvited, and I still will call it a break and enter, and I'm not going to change my stance on that. I feel totally violated. I got to walk around in my house that I don't know what that guy was doing. We have cleaned this house from top to bottom numerous times since this happened, and you still cannot get that feeling from you. Like, you just can't get it out of your house, okay?
Yep.
But what I feel like, when my daughter was on the phone with the police officer yesterday, the police officer said, so what police officers were there? Can you describe them to me? And in my mind, I'm thinking, what? Like, did you guys write anything down from this at all? Like, was there any... Like, did anybody document anything about this whole situation? And I don't feel it was. But I know what you're saying. This is what we've been told around the whole thing. Like, there's no intent, there's no criminal intent. But people need to know that this is what it is. This is the law here in this city, in Canada. And it's not right. You don't have a right to defend your own property or your family. So if this guy had to come out of the room swinging, and he would have been charged then. But if you had to hit him, guess what? you're going to get charged.
Charlene, only because we're well past. Point taken, and I'm so sorry that you went through this, and your kids are going to go through it for some time as well. You file a complaint. That's how you got the call back. I'm getting lots of emails in response. I'll read out some of it. One suggesting, there's a psychiatric assessment route that can be, it doesn't necessarily have to be formally charged. They could, refer the gentleman to a psychiatric assessment, and then if it's deemed that he's not fit to be, in the general public domain, then there could be a remand or, some kind of apprehension involved there. But anyway, I got to get off that break well past it, but I didn't want to stop you in the middle of this. Stay with me on this and let me know if you get anywhere with it, any further follow-up with the police. As I said, I got lots of comments here. I expect maybe a couple of friends of mine in the legal community may weigh in, but keep me posted on how it happens. I get lots of emails here about this. Wish you nothing but the best. Thanks for making the call.
Thanks for your time.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Right on line number 1, and Pat, you're on the air.
Hello. Thank you very much for taking my call.
You're very welcome.
I have a huge problem with this with the referendum not going ahead. A promise is for keeping, and a man is as only good as his word. Premier Tony Wakeham. Gabe Gregory, a man that was on the radio that called in, and I found he was much calmer, as I am, because I'm quite upset about this. And I have medical problems, and it's exasperated that. And I'm just blown away by this. I just did not see this coming. And I don't know if many people are as upset as I am about this, but it's just astounded me. And I don't know, it's unreal. It's just not fair to us.
Yeah,
and
it seems like a miscalculation. It seems like they're not taking it as seriously as I think some people are. As I said yesterday, that it could possibly be that they will just float such a great deal that they'll say it's just unnecessary. You got to trust us on this one. We are in a bit of an urgent situation and we got to rush. But I mean, that's against everything that we were told this government wanted to do in this situation. So.
Well,
I'm surprised.
Like they said, the referendum, take it to the people, let the people speak, and, let us have our voice, and that's it, it's our future. We don't want to be, it just floored me. It just blew me away that I just did not see this coming. I mean, I voted at every election since I was old enough to vote, and, and I've never regretted it except for this time until this happened, right?
Yeah.
And it just astounded me. I just couldn't. I mean, it gave me chest pain, and this morning, and like today, I had. I have an award of excellence in nursing, but I just can't. Every time I can't even listen to the news because, of course, it's on both radio stations.
Yeah.
But it just. It's given me chest pain. I had a sudden severe headache, and it just, because I really believed in Tony. I voted for him. I took great care, time, and consideration to make sure this is who I wanted as my premier. He lives down the road from my sister. I live in Stephenville, and it's just when you really believe in somebody and you trust them, and if you trust in somebody and they make such a colossal decision as this, then if there is no trust, there is nothing.
Yeah, and look, there's a thinking out there that, Pat, I'll just ask you this one, and then, I'm sorry that it's causing you, the stress and anxiety and the health issues that you're talking about. I mean, for a lot of people, you're absolutely right, embedded in this, and they're deeply invested. And when you say one thing, and it's your word, and you're the premier, it can have repercussions. There's a thinking out there that, the MOU or the referendum, that any question would just be too complicated anyway for the public to be able to follow or to be fully informed on to do this. This was the greatest criticism of it, of course. I mean, how do you have a referendum? What would the question be? How do you simplify it so that it covers the wide swath of this deal? Was there any concern on that part of it for you that it might be just...
What caught my ear about Gabe Gregory was that he said, how can a few politicians make decisions like this when it affects all of us as a province? It's our future, and to make this, to me, he summed it up in a very brief time what I really wanted, how I don't even know this man, but he said it in how I really felt, that, it's our future. And, and Tony Wakeham swore, he promised that he would not allow that to happen without a referendum. And I believed him. And now, to me, I feel like we are being made fools of that. He's just,
Yeah. So regardless of the question and that other issue, this is about his word. Whether or not the water changes on the beams or not, you have to make that calculation when you make that promise.
As good as your word.
Yeah.
Trust. A promise is for keeping. He is our leader. Mm-hmm. He is the premier of our province, and all of us, we were behind him when we went to vote, when we went to the polls, and we voted for him. So, right?
Absolutely. And again, it begs the question, was it just an election ploy? Was there ever... I still feel like he's conflicted. I feel like he meant it in the moment. And yesterday, as he said, it was a difficult decision for him. He's disappointed. He knows that people are disappointed. And then he moved on. And I think it deserved more time than that. I think it's an important thing. If you don't have a word, if you don't have the trust, no matter what the reasons are, at least give it more due instead of just a throwaway line. I'd like to hear more of an explanation as to what went into the thinking and when he changed his mind and what made him change his mind. Was it our own set of circumstances, or was it the urgency of the other players here, Quebec and Ottawa, were we pressured into it?
Anything that I have in my household now that is PC is going to be gone, and I will never, ever again, because I truly believed him, and I feel like a fool. I really do, and I don't mind saying that, because I truly, truly believed him. And like I said, he lives down the street from my sister. I'm in Stephenville. He lives like a skip and a jump from my sister on the same drive, and it's just, and on Canada Day he spoke for about 5 minutes, here, and it just, I feel foolish because I take great care and consideration in who I vote for, and I listened and I believed it all along, and it just blew me away. I really thought that when it came to that, there would be a referendum. And like Gabe Gregory, I don't know the man, but when he said that a few politicians cannot basically, just take our future and decide it. Right?
Right. Well, words matter, and they can't just be throwaway. And when we get to the point where you can just, say these things and not, look, for years and years and years, they used to use the word promise, and then it changed to the word commitment. So that was the better word because it doesn't lock you in as much. A promise is a promise. There's no other word, there's no other definition like it. But a commitment, it seems a little more watered down. But this was not a commitment. It was clearly a promise. And again, look, there's a big deal out there, and it's an important deal to the province. Whether or not it is the best since, it is better than the MOU or whatever, will be determined over time. We're not going to decide that today. But the guarantee thing, the sure thing here is that there was a promise made and a promise broken. And I understand why you're upset. And
like the MOU, when I heard that, it actually gave me goosebumps because I thought Black Day in August, because not Joey Smallwood again, not going back. Don't be the worst premier that Newfoundland has ever seen.
Pat, I appreciate your call this morning. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much for taking it.
You're very welcome. Thanks again.
Thank you.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Let's go to caller on line number 5. You're on the air. Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hi.
Me?
Yes, go right ahead.
Oh.
No problem.
Okay. There's a lot of very all your callers before me. I got to say, yes, everything very traumatizing for everyone, whether it's the MOU or the thing that's going on with our friend there, with this invasion of privacy. Like, our lives are changing, and I think the laws are going to have to change with it, so we can get these, people who just need so much help. And my heart goes out to the family, like her family. I forget her name. I don't know her. But some incidents like that I experienced myself. And, try rather to, some of these people like that happened to, I knew. And even calling the RNC, well, they're out the next day, and then they're on the go again. If you get my drift.
I do. It's a vicious circle. I do.
Yeah. And imagine now knowing somebody who would trespass, but imagine somebody who didn't. Like, that sounds something like out of a... Yeah, like, I mean, I don't think our RNC are, like, there's not enough. They can't deal with all the little petty crimes, as you say. And if I was that lady's husband, yes, guaranteed, I probably would have used it.
Yeah, and petty crime is, of course, a subjective, is all relative, right? In this case...
No need for anybody, any family or anyone, man, woman, or child. Like I heard someone to describe something. Nobody needs, and they got to wait till they commit a crime? They just did. What? And is this guy still at large? I wonder. I don't know.
She said, he came back to the house later looking for his clothes. I wasn't there. The one thing with these is, I'm taking...
My heart goes out to them.
Oh, absolutely. It's just something you never expect, and there's children involved. That just heightens the effects for everybody involved. And again, I don't want to prejudge.
But they can't do nothing. The police can't do nothing, eh?
Well, again, the circumstances in every case are very different. You can't judge one by the other. I don't know. There's so much I don't know, so I'm not going to make that judgment.
2026, I get it. And you know what? The laws need to be changed. My opinion, honey. I hope it counts.
Yeah, no, it does. It absolutely counts.
Homeowners, it's protect villains.
Well,
I can't even say chilling like a villain anymore because, it's disrespectful.
Yeah. And we have to be wary just in society today in general. Look, you could be encountered, you could encounter anyone in this...
That's what prompted me.
Yep.
It's not like I don't know. So,
it's tough, especially with the mental health issues out there and those sorts of things. You just,
That's what I mean. It's got to be a change.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't mean lenient on the perpetrator. Like, he needs to be caught and locked away. Like, away from this thing,
locked away might not be. I mean, as I said, in the context of we don't know what happened here specifically. There are a lot of people suppositioning or guessing or assuming that there's mental health issues or that drug addiction, that sort of thing.
Gotta be.
I just we can say gotta be, but you have to be so careful in these cases.
Not an excuse, though. It's still
not an excuse, certainly by any means, but maybe one way of explaining what occurred here and to what extent there was risk. But in any case, when you're encountered with something like that, the idea is prevention of it happening again. And so this individual, my concern would be the repeat, right? If there's not something done or if their issues are not addressed, if there's no charge laid, then they're probably easily out of the system and back on the street, and then it could happen again. So how you deal with...
Do you remember back in time where there was this very honorable, recognized part of national defense. What's his name? Russell. And
yes, charged with some pretty serious sexual crimes and
different things, right?
Yes.
And there's so much gets swept away, like only because he was so profiled, like he was like so. Thank God that somebody knew him and track him down, and
He was a former colonel.
So much.
He was former colonel with the Air Force. He convicted serial killer, really. He was the commander of
and all kinds of medals.
CFB Trenton. Actually, he was the commander. First-degree murder, sexual assaults. What was it?
Weirdos, like what she had in her house. He might not be a commander or anything. He's a commander of nuts. Like, he's crazy, and he needs to be taken off the street.
Well, a person like that to accede to that level of command within the military, and for that to go unchecked and unnoticed throughout his career,
haven't heard nothing about him. He's living high life out in D.C.
I think he had a no parole life sentence, no parole for 25 years. But of course, you can be eligible after a third of serving. So depending on your behavior and everything else, that's a good one to check in on myself again. I appreciate the call. Appreciate the call. It's as you said, it's. I know you mentioned the person in the house as traumatic. I absolutely believe. I think we might be getting a little bit carried away with traumatic. As far as the MOU concerned, I know it's a concern, but whether or not there's trauma involved, I'm a little wary of using that word in the same sentence as, say, for what that family went through, finding a stranger in the basement. So, and I just say that that's just my own.
I was trying to refer to the lady caller before me, and I'm like, yes, because if you're a true believer in, this and that in the government, yes, and hold them to it. I'm all about that, right? Yep. Yes, but I was calling out on the fact of the young woman with family, who was totally,
Well, the reaction to it is
privacy, and they can't do anything about it.
Yeah, again, it's a subjective thing. If the police think they can want to lay a charge with being unlawfully in a dwelling house, that is a charge. Why? Again, I'm not going to try to guess. I don't have.
Yep. It's that the fact that he was there, they could prove it. I mean, where is? Yeah, we need to upgrade our. To protect our citizens, we need
It would appear
it's
that
all in the state justice system. I know. I don't know too much about it. I know we're in a mess. Healthcare, the whole works.
Well, we're working on it. We got a government on it. Let's just hope if they make some promises, they keep them. Caller, thanks I appreciate this today.
Oh, well, I didn't mind waiting.
Oh no, that's okay.
Right now, I'm admiring my. Nail polish because I turned 70 yesterday.
Oh, nice. What color nail polish?
It's sparkly clear pink.
Nice.
Oh.
So do you get your nails done professionally, or do you just clean them up on your own?
Oh my God, I'm a senior. I can't go and afford any of that stuff. No, my grandson and daughter came over and visited me yesterday. So that was the highlight of my whole day. That's all I needed.
Well, your grandkids will shout them out. What are your grandkids' names? Nathan and
Melissa.
Nathan and Melissa. I love you. And for them for coming over, and I'm sure they're well aware that made your day. So that's nice. Thanks for that. Let's leave that on that nice note now, and trying to keep things positive and good newsy here. Enjoy your nails. Thanks for the call.
And not only that, we need to change our laws. What's going on here? Yep. Okay, bye-bye.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line with Brian Callahan.
Right to line number one, the Liberal MHA for Exception Bay East Bell Island, energy critic with the Liberal opposition, Fred Hutton. You're on the air.
Good morning, Brian. How are you doing today?
Morning. Pretty good. On the day after? Sure. Pretty good.
Yeah, so look, I just wanted to chime in a little bit. We chatted, I think it was on Thursday or Friday, about the details that had been leaked out by La Presse and your media and others last week. And I think most of what we talked about last week was actually in the agreement that was announced yesterday, the definitive cooperation and implementation agreement. And we still haven't seen it, by the way. It has not been released to the public. So
you're getting a look today, though, are you? Very shortly.
Yeah, there's a technical briefing coming up at 10:30.
Yep.
And it's actually not offered to our MHAs who are in other parts of the province. Unfortunately, there wasn't going to be a virtual until this morning when we said, look, we couldn't get everybody down here. So they will be joining by phone. But in the meantime, the MOU or the new deal, whatever they announced yesterday, is apparently twice as long as the 2024 MOU, which was 37 pages long. Still can't comment on every aspect of it, but there are a few things that jump to mind, and I've heard a fair bit of your show this morning, including your preamble. The referendum piece is obviously big. This is something that Tony Wakeham, when he was opposition leader, said right out of the gate in his campaign launch on the night he won the election. He said that would be absolutely something that would happen. Yesterday, he went back on his promise. He broke that promise and said there's not going to be a referendum. All along, he said a 50-year deal was too long. Now it's a 50-year deal. He talked about the fact that we had rushed it. We gave 16 months or 17 months between the time our MOU, the Liberal MOU, was signed and, the April deadline of when we wanted to try to have all this put to bed. And we had warned since October when the election that delaying this would potentially butt up against the Quebec election. And here we are about 7 or 8 days prior to the launch of the Quebec election, which means everything goes on hold again. Potential for the PQ to get elected and not proceed with this. So there are a lot of things have changed. There are bigger numbers. The federal government is involved, but I think the fact that the Premier has gone back on his word on a few of these things has really ticked people off, and that's the sense I'm getting from it. And I'm wondering why he had to make those decisions and what we gave up. And look, I was just reading the Quebec news release from Quebec Hydro, and if you'll bear with me, I'll just read one short paragraph from it. It says the 2026 DCIA will therefore strengthen Hydro-Quebec's energy portfolio for the next 50 years at a cost lower than that of the alternatives and lower than the cost that of the 2024 agreement. They're paying less for the power they're buying from us now than the 2024 agreement, and they're getting more of it. I
think the Premier yesterday average, she was questioned about the 6 to 7.4 cent pricing, and eventually she came in with a question, answer that said, it'll average out around 6 cents. I mean, that's 3 times, I think, what is it? I think they're paying, the customers in the United States paying 3 times that, I think, to Quebec for the power that they bring from us for 6 cents. I'm pretty sure that's the number I saw.
Right. And the new agreement as well, Brian, which has wind power included, and all this needs feasibility studies, right? There's nothing, the engineering work hasn't been done on any of that or the feasibility. They're going to end up with about 3,500 extra megawatts of power, and we're going to end up with 760 more. So that's almost 5. Quebec is getting 5 times what we were. Prime Minister Carney was there yesterday, announced $6.5 billion for Quebec, and when John Hogan was Premier last year, he spoke with the Prime Minister and said, look, whatever you're giving to Quebec, you got to give to us. We're going to get about half that. So they're getting double what we would have gotten, what we're going to get. In capital costs that they're going to put up, in addition to the tax incentives and things like that, equity purchases.
I just, I'm wondering if we're wasting too much time and looking at what they're getting as opposed to what we're getting. You can never. Look, it's so early in it, Fred, too. The numbers, there's a reason I kind of glossed over them today, because they're a moving target. They're going to move and change. They're going to fluctuate between that. And then, like you talked about yesterday, what you just mentioned, things change overnight. Late yesterday, the PQ was saying they're open to looking at this if it's beneficial. I mean, that's kind of the same thing that Tony Wakeham said. We'll look at it if it's in our best interest, and we'll go ahead with it. That's a far cry from really the publicity and the news reports up to this, and even themselves, the PQ, talking about they'd scrap it no matter what, and the border is going to be an issue. They seem to be backing away from that after Premier Frechette said yesterday, well, what's the alternative? What are they going to offer if they scrap the MOU? And they seem to be backing away from it. Do you get that sense? I mean, is it as urgent?
I spoke over you, Brian.
That's
I apologize. I saw that in the All Newfoundland and Labrador reporting that was done last night, that the PQ leader is softening his stance on that somewhat, which is encouraging. And look, I want to say this as well. I'm not sure if I said it at the beginning, but we're encouraged by the fact that this isn't just gone away, that they are building on the foundation of the MOU from 2024, and have, there are bigger numbers. The federal government is involved, as I mentioned. So we are encouraged that this just isn't dead. My fear is that we have come up against this election as we feared we would, and here we are just a few days before that. There's a 6-week period, which is the length of their election, which means nothing gets done until early part of October, and they want to have this done by January 1st of 2027. The 15% electricity
doesn't kick in.
Doesn't kick in until 2027.
Right.
The $2 billion we would have gotten backdated to January 1st of 2025. That's not happening now. We're not getting that money. If we'd signed today, we would have gotten everything back to January 1st, 2020. The rates would have been changed and would have reflected that. Kind of like when you get a raise and it's backdated to a year and a half before.
Yeah, retro.
The retroactive pay, right? We're not getting any of that now. And my fear is ultimately, I hope we do get a deal, but that we won't get anything depending on what happens. And I heard Roger Grimes on this morning talking about we can't worry about things we can't control. And that's my fear in this, is that we can't control what happens in Quebec. And will we actually see this over the finishing line? Because take the politics out of it. The province of Newfoundland and Labrador, we need to develop this. We need the money. We need it for the future of the province. And I've said all along, if it's a good deal and we get in the legislature and we get a chance to speak to the experts, we don't know what the structure of that is going to look like. But hear Tony Wakeham say yesterday, instead of a referendum, we're going to go in the House. Well, my understanding was...
I thought they were having both of those anyway.
And we'd have a referendum. So it's not like, okay, well, we'll give you this insteed.
It wasn't one or the other.
We should have been doing that anyhow, and giving, folks who spend a lot of time looking at this, a chance to ask questions on behalf of their constituents. But I've heard your callers this morning loud and clear saying they're very disappointed that he's broken his promise on this referendum. That's
the most clearest part of it, unfortunately for him, I guess. With all the vagaries around the numbers and timelines and when it can get done and the Quebec election and the uncertainties. And I guess it does explain how they've managed to turn this around in 3 months when they were building on the building blocks, the foundation of it, as you mentioned. They haven't denied that it's the foundation of the MOU. The Premier has said that, there was no plan to tear it all up in the first place. They weren't re-ripping up anything. They were taking what the Liberal government had basically founded and topping it up, with more power, more transmission, more value, which they've done. The only question is, to what extent? And it just feels like we're in the pressure spot here, and having to kowtow to other interests with the election coming and other federal interests. Because it's great timing for Carney, too, make no mistake, and he alluded to it yesterday. With the tariff deadline tomorrow, him speaking to the president yesterday afternoon, he even said at that news conference yesterday that this would be the first conversation that he'd have with the president. He knows they're watching, and, it may not be the biggest, deal breaker to help us out with the tariff deadline, but, it doesn't hurt either. Anyway, Fred, I'm getting off to the break, and I know you've got to go to a technical briefing, so appreciate the call.
Great. Appreciate it, Brian. Thanks again. This all goes back to trust, though. What the Premier said he would do and what he's doing.
I agree.
Different things.
I agree, and I mentioned that off the top. But look, and that's not partisan politics. I have no skin in this game. I'm calling it as I see it. The changes from, a journalistic's point of view, it is trust and judgment. The Prime Minister, again, those were the words out of his mouth yesterday, and then lo and behold, we're breaking a promise. So anyway, thanks again, Fred. Appreciate it.
Okay, take care. I'm sure we'll chat again about it.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Let's go to line number 3, and caller, you're on the air.
Morning, sir. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Terrible thing. I'm calling about the internet in St. Lawrence.
Okay.
I called you before about I had a back surgery done 10 years ago. Well, but anyways, I missed the call because of the internet from the doctors in St. John's. Oh. And anyways, and we're still screwed up with the internet the whole time, right?
Who's your provider?
I'm not very sure who it is up here, whether it's Bell or who in the hell it is. I don't know for sure. But anyway, I have my phone left from TELUS, all right? But, that don't mean say they're the provider.
No, that's right.
but everybody in St. Lawrence complained about internet. I don't know, just St. Lawrence or is that the whole of Bjorn Peninsula or not. I don't know.
Oh, it's all around the province. It's depending on where you are. There are rural, there are blackouts. There's all kinds of areas around the province where you can have a real problem with it.
Well,
and
we
I've
got
heard
the problem up there.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't give a shit about the internet along with that.
Can you watch? Got to watch the language.
These doctor calls are very important to me.
Try not to.
I'm 10 years.
Caller, just for one quick sec. I just want to caution you. Try to keep the language less than salty, if that's okay.
Yep.
Thanks. Okay, go.
Okay. Well, these calls are very important to me, right? Mm-hmm. From the doctor and this and that, because I'm waiting now since the 17th of February to go to Halifax to have a simulator put in my back, and every day is just, it's hell on earth, put it that way.
So, okay.
And, I don't know if the doctor understands this or not, but it's terrible. And now with the internet, I'm missing the calls and everything else, so I don't know what can be done about it or who to contact, actually.
Okay, so where is this doctor calling from? Like, who's calling you? Which doctor? And do you know the doctor personally, or is this just a general call?
Oh, yeah, I know the doctor personally in St. John's. Yes, I know that.
Okay, so
I'm a long way from St. John's.
Have you been in contact with him since the?
Well, he tried to call me on the 30th of July, and they said they called, but I never received any call, so I'm blaming it on the internet. But they said after that he did email me after. He's a wonderful doctor, as far as I'm concerned. And he did email me and all this kind of stuff. And I got that email already.
Okay.
But I got another call coming on the 25th of August. That was 3 weeks from then. That's almost 4 weeks actually. That's fine for them to make the appointments, but I'm the one that's going through this misery all the time, right?
Are you? You're calling me now from your telephone, I guess. From your home.
This is the longest time this ever stayed on yet.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, because it's hard to people are probably listening going, phone sounds fine to me. So is it just not good at certain times, or is it where you're standing in your house, or is it better out on the road, on the back porch?
It is the internet itself, because I know that for sure. It is the internet, and everybody's not wrong, So I talk to a lot of people on the phone, of course. But I don't get it around very much. But anyways, whatever the hell is going on, I don't know who to contact. I really don't know who to contact.
When do you get a bill? Who do you get a bill from?
Oh, well, we get the bill from TELUS, certainly.
Well, that would be your first step. Because you're paying them for a service you're not getting. I called
our town council here yesterday. Now, in the meantime, but they could say, well, everybody's got the problem. That don't cure my problem.
That doesn't make any difference, right? If everybody's got it, that just means it's a bigger problem. Yeah.
Yeah, I really think that our council should be looking into it more than what they are, actually, and see what's going on.
There's not much that a municipality or a local service district or a town can do about your internet service, unfortunately, unless they're approving towers or something like that, and that's a federal, if a CRTC situation realm domain.
Yeah, okay. That's all fine too. I think when we're paying for this service, we should be getting service, okay?
Yep, I agree.
I'm so a believer in that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
And as for the MOU, I think it's about time Newfoundland is starting to get something straightened away there. Never mind what the opposition says or anybody else, but we got a lot more on our plate than. And who cares about Quebec, what they get?
So you think...
I'm messing with the smartest people in the world, as far as I'm concerned.
So you want to use the word you used earlier and say something and get off the pot? I'm not going to repeat the word, though.
No, that's all right.
But is that does that sum it up what you're trying to say pretty well, or?
That's it. That's it for me. I'm not going to keep it too long, okay?
No, I was just wondering if that's what, that's the summary of your case, or do you know what, or get off the pot. Tell us a call by. You must have a number there, probably an 800 number or something. I know that your phone has been great here during this call, so let's hope the next time the doctor calls, it's working just as well then. And if not, I would just, while your phone is working, I would get on her right now, and talk to TELUS and just clear up who your provider is, if it's them, and if you're paying them, then they're the ones who need to deal with this.
I got to go there tomorrow, so I got to go to Marystown tomorrow, so I'll find out from that too.
There you go. Right on.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it too. Thanks for the call. Take care.
All the best to you.
All right, good luck.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Go right to line number 3, and let's welcome Gabe Gregory with the 2041 group to the program. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Brian.
Good morning.
I'm calling. I'd like to discuss, the whole issue about the referendum or no referendum.
Yeah, and just before you get going,
I'm really not in a position to speak about, the deal of yesterday.
Appreciate that.
It takes a lot of time to analyze these things, and I think we all owe it to ourselves and learned the lessons from the last time that, we take the amount of time that's necessary to really get behind it, get the facts, and really sort out what this is all about.
Agreed. I just had an email, coincidentally enough, just before you called, and the timestamp is there. It's total coincidence. And just very briefly, I'll just run it by you, and then I'll let you comment. This emailer takes issue with everyone downplaying the referendum, saying the people aren't smart enough to vote on it. That's wrong. The PC party campaigned on a referendum. Tony drove around in a pickup truck, talking to everyone like he's their long-lost grandfather, promising everyone they will get a vote on any deal. Now the people aren't smart enough to vote on it. Holy man, you can't get any lower than that. So that's just a comment I received. What's your take on the referendum situation, Gabe?
Oh, I totally agree with those comments. I think it, behooves all of us to understand and, take interest in this issue because it has such an important value, economic and otherwise, societal value to the people of our province for the long term. This is an enormous opportunity. I can't express how big the opportunity is for Newfoundland in regard to the renewal of the Upper Churchill contract. The value is there today. It's enormous. It's going to grow. We all know and are being told every day about the new demand for electricity and the electrification of transportation. I mean, this is something fabulous that our province has, and we have to make sure we get it right. So, when I hear the Premier talk about we're not going to have a referendum, and he's going to replace that with a debate in the House of Assembly, I mean, it brings me right back to January of 2025. We had 4 days of debate in the House of Assembly, Brian. Mm-hmm. And we had to ask ourselves, what did we learn from that debate? We didn't learn anything. All we heard was, so-called experts and hydro people and politicians have a political sham, I call it, because the people never learned anything from that. And the House of Assembly voted in favor of the old MOU. If we never had the opposition there that was there from the PC group at the time, we would have had the old MOU pushed ahead, and we'd all be living with it today. And then we, because of that process, we had a review, thank God. Mm-hmm. And the review told us that none of these, 5 major developments that were part of the old MOU are in the interests of the public of the province. So we didn't learn anything from the debate. So a new debate, do we really think that a debate in the House of Assembly next week or a few weeks' time is the answer to this issue? I mean, that's incredible.
We have such short memories, Gabe. We have a
province and a premier saying to the people of the province today that we're not going to have a referendum. We're not going to have any review. Time now is our problem. Before it was all we got lots of time. We're going to get this right. Mm-hmm. And now we're going into a House of Assembly where there is no opposition, because the 2 opposing parties have already signed on and told the people of the province they wanted the old deal. So this time around, there's not even going to be a voice speak against, or you can't speak for or against, but you have to get the facts. And we're not going to learn much in the facts in the House of Assembly, not from experts, not from Newfoundland Hydro, because it's going to be the same spin that we got the last time. That's the way this works.
What is the best way to inform the public? What is the best way to have an informed public on this topic, on this deal, whatever it is? If it's an MOU, an agreement, I don't know what it's called.
The best way to inform the public is to do what the government promised, which was to negotiate a deal. Then the obligation is on the government to have a public process to inform the people factually about what the deal is about. And then we have a referendum.
And if they don't do that in the House of Assembly, what forum? What's the process? What do you do? Have town halls, or what do you? What do we do?
You could have town halls. You could have independent public review. You could have, there's various processes that the public can get to understand. But I mean, on that question, there is really only one question in regard to any of this, Brian, does this make Newfoundland and Labrador, the people of the province, the primary beneficiaries? Okay, that's what the question is. It's a very simple question. And you can measure that. And people can, look, we had a review last time, and 3 people went away. They spent several months. It wasn't very public. I didn't like it. But the result was, gave us the right answer.
But how does
we need these kind of processes in order to inform the public.
And how do at what point would or can the public be fully informed that they are the primary, that we are the primary beneficiaries? Again, it's not uncomplicated stuff, but how do you boil it down and make it simple layman's terms? And I'm not suggesting that we're all too stupid to understand it, but if you read the document, you'll understand very quickly that there are nuances that the average person without a background in whether it's building dams or digging a Labrador trough, there are things here that are complex, especially when you get into pricing, block pricing versus, say, the escalator clauses and all that kind of stuff. People need to understand it to be able to answer that question. It's a very simple question. I'm just suggesting the answer is not so simple.
No, it isn't, and I agree. It takes a lot of work and a lot of analysis, and the politicians don't have that ability any more than the public in Newfoundland do.
We don't want the politicians to be
there. I wouldn't put them on any pedestal above the public of the province. Mm-hmm. In fact, I think that our experience is otherwise. And I just gave you the example of last year.
Yes.
Which proves what I'm saying. So, I have a lot of faith in the public in Newfoundland. And at the end of the day, if the public wants something, then they should get it. That's what democracy is about. And, that's why it works.
Agreed. Gabe, look,
but this is not about, tomorrow or next year. This is about the next several decades and generations of people to come. And that's what people have to focus on. And there is a significant value proposition here for our people. It's an enormous opportunity we're not going to get again. If we get this wrong, it's going to be wrong for 50 years.
And the bottom line is...
We're going to realize that very quickly.
Yeah, and the bottom line is we do a referendum, and then it's off the government's back. You get an answer. And that arguably it's done then, right? You're not going into it without the public's either support or not lack of support. Gabe, we've got to get off to the break. I appreciate you wanted to limit it to the referendum today, and I look forward to a deeper chat now when we've both had time to scour the deal, which you were so kind to send me that link there to the exhaustive deal, all the details. So, as you've said, that's on the NL Hydro site as well as Hydro Quebec's, and down the road. Look forward to a chat.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Thanks to the listeners.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Well, let's go to line number 4. Charlie, you're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Brian.
Morning.
Your email caller, whoever sent that email, I totally agree.
Do you mean, I guess, the very last one regarding, keep the politics out of it?
About getting too emotional and so on.
I agree, too. Yep.
There's a couple of things we have to look at. The geography of it, that would be a stranded asset without Quebec. Mm-hmm. We can't do it on our own, as you know. And people forget that our financial situation is so bad. We've been given a warning that if we don't get our house in order and start to do some of these deals or do something with our spending, that the interest rates are going to go up, and that would be disastrous for the province. So we have to keep these realities in mind, I believe.
I agree.
A couple of the things I'd like to see, the term not as much as 50 years. I'd like to see a strong escalator clause and so on. But we can't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. We have to look at the things I said earlier, and if it's building on the MOU, a lot of the work was done by that group, so I don't think it's rushed because of that reason. But
yeah, we knew the trough would be involved. We knew the Gull Island. We knew all these major components were there. Just how are we going to approach them? Who's going to develop them? Who's going to build them? Who's going to operate them? How much is the price going to be? How much power do we put through them? The wind element was new. The feds came on board. A lot changed, and all of a sudden, bam, we have a deal. So, sorry about that. Yeah.
It was sort of a combination of, I forget what the phrase is, but a combination of good things. Mm-hmm. But anyway, a couple of things on the border. I discount any talk about that, because we've got border conflicts all over the world, like Cambodia and Thailand and Russia and Japan, China and India. These things just go on, and they never really settle. So I don't pay attention much to what the Parti Québécois are saying there. On the referendum, I thought it was a silly idea in the first place. I'm not too concerned that he cancel it. We have our members in there that represent us. They'll be briefed, and I'd like to think that they could make a better decision than throwing it out to people like myself who don't have too many clues about the whole thing. So right now, I would say I'm pro, but I'm open to listening to more arguments and so on. But some people say, well, we own the river, and that's the end of the story. And of course, it's not the end of the story. It, as I said before, it could be a stranded asset. So that's about all I want to say on it now. But I'd like to comment some other week too.
Oh, absolutely. Look, this will be a going concern, no question about that. I'd say there'll be something new almost every day.
Okay.
Especially with the election looming, and as I said, it'll be the most watched Quebec election in this province's history.
Yeah, well, I think the Parti Québécois, they kind of need the votes there. I don't think they can afford to be like they were saying before, that they would tear it up and that. So I think that will be okay.
Right.
On the tariff thing, I listened to a guy, Ian Sprague, or I've heard him several times. I don't know if I got his last name right. Do you know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do know. I think it's Sprague, yeah. I believe that's his pronunciation.
Anyway, he said what we shouldn't forget, even though I don't want to say anything in favor of Trump when I'm saying this, he said we've had these irritants there going way back even to Ronald Reagan's time. And Canada has had a pretty good deal with the States regarding some of these issues. So it's not completely out in left field what some of the things that he's asking for adjustments in. So I think we may have to and instead of reciprocal actions, we may have to look at some give and take. Although with Trump you can give and then you don't get much take.
Well, that's the problem.
Anyway,
there's no guarantees, right? There's just no guarantees whatsoever. We could put the U.S. booze back on the shelves as a conciliatory action, but my God, there is nothing stopping him from tomorrow, after this deadline, slapping another one on if he's discontent. The problem is the moving target, the uncertainty. I mean, look, the biggest risks for business here or anywhere else is uncertainty, unpredictability, unforeseeable, unplanned events. The difference here is the uncertainty is certain under this current president, and how do you deal with that? Knowing that there will eventually be an end to it all, maybe at the end of his term, assuming that's in 2 years. We don't even know that for sure. And people look at the midterm elections, that may play nothing. I mean, he's doing most of these actions by executive order. So whatever's going on in the House and in the numbers, whether it's the Republicans or the Democrats, I mean, he's still got executive orders at his hand. And we've seen he has a tendency, and he'll just go off rogue and do it and then throw it at the courts and wait till they overturn it. They're still waiting on billions in refunds from the companies that were hurt by the first round of tariffs that were proven unlawful. So it's just the trickiest of calculations. Absolutely, Charlie.
Well, when you've got somebody on that side who's more concerned with a win than having a decent deal, that's what you're dealing with. Mm-hmm. But I would suggest that we don't fly off the handle on this. I think Carney's approach is good. We just take it coolly and calmly, and perhaps we have to give a little here just to get past this time. But anyway, we'll see how it all works out, I guess. Thanks, Brian.
You're welcome, Charlie. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it.
Okay, sir. Bye-bye.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Let's go to line number 2. Albert, you're on the air.
How you doing?
Morning. Good. Thanks. How are you?
I just, not too bad. I just want to say, hopefully, at the end of the day, when everything we get more information and stuff, it's never going to be a perfect deal, but we just got to look after the interests of Newfoundland Labradorians, right? That's the most important.
Agreed.
Which I don't feel right now. I feel disappointed right now, Brian, because the only thing benefit right now, sure, is going to be jobs and we're going to prosper, but we're going to get into the business of selling power, big time. Well, one of the biggest developments, we're heavy duty. So I'm paying almost like 16 cents a kilowatt. Parts of Labrador only paying 4 cents. And right now, the only benefit I'm going to get is the 15% he's going to knock off the taxes, right? Mm-hmm. So if he came out and said, hey, guys, we'll have one universal rate across the whole board for the whole province of Newfoundland Labrador, the 4 cents or whatever. Why should we, as a power seller, be paying more than Quebecers residents going to pay? Tell me that. Just throw that out there, and it makes me upset that we got so much here in this province. We're going to be a big-time sellers, and we're the Newfoundland Labradorians are. You take people in southern Labrador. They're proposing a new generator plant, diesel generator plant. And they got it in their back door, and they're paying 15, 16 cents or more a kilowatt hour. You know what I mean? Come on. That's right. That's my biggest beef I want to throw out there, and I'm hoping the MHAs, everybody should be phoning their MHAs and say, listen, come on. I don't feel the regular people are really benefiting right now, right? From what I know.
Alberta. Sorry about that. I don't know.
No problem.
That's so funny. That's a Freudian on me because I was going to get into BC and Alberta in a minute. But Albert, the only thing people may push back on me at this, but I just wonder what, I think we waste a lot of energy looking at what Quebec's getting. And I said this earlier to Fred Hutton, who was on the energy critic for the opposition Liberals. We keep saying, oh, look what they're getting. It's apples and oranges very much. Quebec, we're not on the same, level. It's not a level playing field, for starters. It's a different jurisdiction. They have different capacity. They have different needs. They have different demographics. They have different everything, budgets, like cost comparisons. It's really impossible to do that and then get an accurate reflection on whether or not we're getting a fair deal. I think we bog ourselves down in trying to see, what's Quebec getting? And I think we waste a lot of money on that instead of looking at our realities, what we need, what our capacity is for the future, what Labrador needs, of course, to say the least. When we're looking at prices and stuff like that, I'm not a regular.
I don't feel the people in Newfoundland should be paying the rates we're paying right now, and it's only going to increase. They're looking for increases all the time, and the
higher rates,
is trying
absolutely.
to keep it down, right?
Yeah, higher rates. That's a different story altogether. Yep.
Yeah, and I think I'm really disappointed in that. And he only come up with the 15%. Like, it's all right if you're living in part of the province and your late bill in the wintertime is only $200 or $300. Sure, it's not stressing you out, right? But if if you're burning a little bit of wood in a house and you're paying $600 or $700 a month in the winter months, makes a big difference. And you take the businesses and up my way and across southern Labrador and their electrical bills. How great would it help them out and the people out if they were paying 4 cents a kilowatt? You know what I mean? It's not fair. It's not fair. And it's time. I don't know why more people is not speaking up about it.
Well, yeah.
I think everybody should be phoning their MHA and saying, listen, we want something straight across the board. We all should be paying 4 cents. The maximum, the lowest amount anybody's paying in the province, everybody should pay it. And you know what I was thinking about? Only for the fact we'll get our power cut, is everybody, when you get their next electrical bill, base it on the 4 cents and pay Newfoundland Hydro the 4 cents. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
Well, you know,
do so at your peril.
That'd be a big protest, wouldn't it?
Yes, it was. You do so at your peril.
Man, I tell you, that's what we should do.
Send a difference to the government.
You can't cut everybody off.
Yeah.
Right.
No, you can't. But and of course, Newfoundland Hydro won't be doing it. It'll be Newfoundland Power.
No.
Fortis owned Newfoundland Power, I might add.
Yeah. So in a way, I just want to throw that out. And hopefully, as good we're going to prosper. We're as good positive things out of it. It's good for the economy, good for us. At the end of the day, when we get all the details, hopefully it's going to be fine. There's no such thing as a real perfect deal, but I think Tony Wakeman is looking after, like, he's a Newfoundlander. You know what I mean? People, you know what I mean? You just can't. There's only our hands are tied in a lot of ways. That's the sad thing about Newfoundland.
That's exactly right.
There's a big price tag on development. We're put it this way. We are the poor guys in Newfoundland in Canada, and our hands are tied, and we're relying on to prosper. We got to give a lot of stuff away, haven't we? I've seen it. We've seen it all over the years.
Yeah, we have to face the reality that we're a small player in a big pond when it comes to Quebec and Ottawa.
And we got to give it away, haven't we, Blair? You know, it's just the sad thing about it.
And it remains to be seen if we are. I don't think it's in the context of a giveaway, but I just worry that my concern is just the pressure. All the pressure is on the other parties right now, and it seems like the perfect time for us to really take a step back. There is no rush. Let's see how desperate they really are.
Yeah, that's right.
Call the bluff.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. You're buying a new car, you go down and negotiate, keep negotiating. At the end of the day, next month there's going to be a better deal on.
I mean, we can't wait forever. I know we can't wait forever, and everybody loves that 15% break, but that's not happening until the deal is signed anyway, so there you go.
But Quebec needs our power. That's the bottom line. And,
that's right.
And so, you know what I mean, we're in a seller's position here,
and even the PQ is even admitting now. So it's walking back some of this scrapping it. They're even admitting now they'll have a look at it and if it's beneficial. So they've walked it back. So maybe the urgency isn't even there. Maybe we have more time than we know. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it feels
hopefully it'll work out, and hopefully for the regular Newfoundlander and Labradorian, these rates are my biggest.
Me too.
Right now is what would help me and a lot of people and a lot of business if the rates were universal.
I think that's one of the issues here, Albert. You know, like this big announcement yesterday, but ultimately it means nothing for you and me in the short term.
No, the only thing that looked at me right now, like at my age, like if I was at a trade that was going to work at this development, or my family, the shore is going to help out Newfoundland, Labrador's County, and
next generations.
Great. Way to go. You know, shore, keep the ball rolling, and shore is good to see, and it's good for us. Put us on the map.
Yep.
But I think the basic Newfoundlander that's struggling right now with the price of everything you can imagine up my way now with the price of heating fuel. I don't know how people's going to do it. It's like $2 a liter or whatever it is now. I'm not sure because I gave up burning oil. But
where are you again? Where do you live?
I'm in the Northern Peninsula in Snathing, actually.
Okay, there you go. Sorry. Yep.
And we're paying top dollar for fuel.
Yep.
And we're paying top dollar for electricity rates. And poor buggers can change over electricity and get a good rate. Jesus, imagine how good it would be only paying 4 cents.
Oh, it's a dream world. Albert, I got to get off the news.
It is a dream world, but it's not really a dream when we're going to be producing all this power and selling it, and they're going to be buying it. Their residents is going to be paying a cheaper bill than I am. That's what irks me.
Yes, point taken. If this all comes to fruition, then we could be looking at setting our own rates a little bit better. Absolutely sure. Albert, thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Got to go.
Yeah, thanks for the time.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Let's go to the independent MHA for Humber Bay of Islands. Eddie Joyce, you're on the air.
How are you?
Good. Thank you. How's the Best Coast?
Oh, everything's good out here so far.
Lovely.
Yeah, it's all good.
Give her.
I just want to chime in on the Premier with the referendum.
Yes, sir.
And I heard Gabe earlier talking about nothing changed from the debate off the past MOU.
Mm-hmm.
Just to bring into perspective, myself and Paul Lane and Jim Din, went and forced the government into, at the time, to put an oversight committee. And what came out of the oversight committee is that they changed the terms of reference that we agreed to for the oversight committee. So it actually worked, because when Mr. Wilson came out and said he wasn't allowed the documents that he was allowed before, 27 documents, now they're saying no more documents on October 3rd, that a letter from the outgoing clerk of executive council. So the House of Assembly did do its job at the time, and it did work, because it brought out some flaws. So
it's important context. I appreciate that, Eddie. Yes, you're absolutely right. I remember that. But so, as I said, we have short memories, and it's important for someone like yourself who was a part of that, along with Paul and the independents. Yeah, absolutely. So sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, and no, that's fine. And I agree with bringing it back to the House of Assembly. The last time there was a referendum in this province, it tore families apart, and it was on the education that Clive Wells brought in.
97.
It tore families apart. It tore a lot of neighbors apart, and this is what happens, because now politics will step in. And give you a good example, now that no one knew the Prime Minister was so involved in this. Of course, Mr. Poilievre is going to have his say into this here, which he should, which is part of it. Then it's going to become so political on divided lines. And this is why I feel that in the House of Assembly, where we can debate and we can make amendments, do whatever we like in the House of Assembly, it can be done. And to have a referendum, I say, will cost $8 to $10 million. That's fine, but it's going to take 4 to 6 months. And how are we going to get all the information to people? Just give you an example. The last one in 2024, we were given funds to go hire experts to help us through this process. So I heard you say there's so many tangly things in between. The price of when it fluctuates, goes up or down. It is, and it is hard to do for anybody to get the information out to the general public. When it's so hard for us. I want to give you one example, and this is going on my history, the Boise Bay debate. Roger Gines, we sat down, we went through it. We fought, we went through it, we finally said, okay, here's what we're going to go with. And what Roger Gines did, give him credit as Premier, he said, here's the deal. Go out in your districts, have meetings, get people look at it, get accountants look at it. I had public meetings in the district on the Boise Bay debate and said, here's the deal, ask questions. And we did. We came back and we said, here's some concerns we had, and we got it changed. That's one of the best deals Newfoundland and Labrador ever did. Yeah. And that's how we decided on the time. And the MAJs, with this deal now, we got a month, could take it to their districts, have public meetings. They can get professionals to look at it, discuss it, and have issues brought back in the House of Assembly. Well, that's our job. That's our job. And I always said that if you have a public meeting with your constituents, you're honest and upfront with your constituents on it, then what will happen? They will give you their honest opinion, and you can explain it to them, or go back and say, here's some concerns we have, which is the proper process. And I think the MHAs will be fully briefed, all of us. I know the Premier already committed. There's a briefing today. I can't make it. I'm in Corner Brook. But I will get a briefing soon on this, and I will have public meetings if asked. I will have discussions with any individual if asked, and explain to the best of my ability what this deal and what it does for the province. Because I can tell you from the 2024 debate that we had, that we got the Oversight Committee, which worked, to this deal here, with the issues and what's in it is so much different. I won't get into any of the other statements that the opposition made. They can make their own statements. But I can assure you, and I can assure the general public, that there's details in here that were never discussed in 2024. And with the Prime Minister of Canada in there with $10 billion ready to make this as a national project, there's a lot to be said about it, which wasn't done before.
There absolutely was, Eddie, and just because I'm short of time, I just wanted to go back for a moment. I would say there is a big difference between the referendum on denominational education, because it inserted religion, and that's why it tore apart families, and that's why it, look, I know it firsthand. If you were, back in the day, Protestant versus Catholic, you couldn't get married. I mean, the families would have a conniption. But, there's a big difference between that, that vote, that referendum on removing the religious element from schools, the elimination of denominational education back in the late 90s, and, an MOU on Churchill Falls. It's a big economic deal. The other, I think, was much more personal.
But what has changed since then? And I hear it, I see it on a regular basis, is politics has been so polarized.
Oh, yes, that's true. Absolutely.
That's what I'm thinking. If you look at Facebook, you look at anything, once the Prime Minister of Canada stepped in and said this is a national project and put in $10 billion, you're going to start hearing the federal PC government, right or wrong, start saying, well, how about between Alberta and British Columbia?
Yep.
And then you're going to get that polarized here in Newfoundland and Labrador, that Carney's given this away, that he should do this, and provincially, and it started already. When I heard some statements yesterday by the opposition, you could see it starting right away, which is not only totally not true, but is so fabricated. It's not even a good story.
Yeah, and this is the point.
That's my point on it.
Yep. No, I appreciate it, and I'm right out of time. I will just hopefully we can remove as much politics from this as possible and do what's best for all of us. And I'll steal the Premier's phrase right there. Thanks, Eddie. I got to go. I'm really sorry.
Right. Just the last thing.
Yep.
Remember, all MHAs, this is for our future generations, not about us in the House of Assembly.
Absolutely. Well said. Thanks, Eddie. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
You're welcome. Anytime. Eddie Joyce Steer, the independent MHA for Humber Bay of Islands. That'll do it for today's edition of Open Line. Thank you, Dave Williams, for all your hard work back there. Thanks, everyone. Please drive safely. Arrive alive. VOCM cares.